I've been talking about this stuff. So he really has a great pulse on where things are. He's going to be talking about automations, just a lot of really, really cool stuff. So without further ado, please give it up for Perry Belcher.
We looked like our AI images. That handsome son of a bitch, I swear. All right, well, be prepared for something weird, because the biggest redneck in the whole industry is going to try to explain emerging technology to you. Boy, who in Paducah, Kentucky would have thought this would have happened? So what I'm going to talk to you guys today about is something a little bit, I'm the most excited guy about AI in the world, because artificial intelligence is great, because I wasn't born with a lot of real intelligence, so it helps me to function. So I'm going to talk to you about stacking today. I don't know of anybody else that's talking about the new technologies that are out there, the way that we're using them in our business. I'm sure there are plenty of people doing it way better than me, way smarter than me. But I'll kind of show you, I'm just going to walk through kind of what we're doing. If you don't know who I am, doesn't really matter. But I started digital marketer with Ryan Dice, War Room Mastermind, Native Commerce, Inc. 500 media company called ScaleWinds, big outsourcing in the Philippines with about 200 outsourcers or so, conventions.com, graphicsmart.com, and about 11 other companies that have been over $20 million. So I'm a copywriter. I sold about 9, so I've got a lot of respect for the copywriters in the room, you criminals. I sold about $900 million worth of product online. I can't get to $1 billion to save my life. I think I'm going to die first. I've had multiple now, 4, 7, and 8 figure exits. So I actually got to buy Rolls Royce, which is kind of cool. And I've got businesses globally. I like the future a lot. I like behavior a lot. And I invest and I advise now. That's my cell, by the way. If anybody needs to reach me, that's the phone I keep in my pocket. Emma says I'm crazy. But Emma works with me a lot. So clearly you can just call Emma if you need something. She's screaming out back right now. Before I did all that, I was a kid of a single mom who worked in a nursing home, truly the shittiest job in the world. I grew up dirt poor, my grandmother's house. My sibling, my brother, my older brother, killed himself before I got out of high school. I dropped out of high school, all screwed up. Been bankrupt a couple of times, been arrested once. I got in trouble in a supplement business. It's a pretty matter of public record, you can look it up. But I got in trouble in the supplement business and lost all my dough about 13 or 14 years ago. And people think it's funny because I didn't file bankruptcy again, the one time I should have. I was $3 million in debt when all that was over with. They took all my money, but they left me all the debt. And 2 years later, we had a giant Perry's broke party because I got all the way back to zero. So no matter where you're at, where you're starting, I've been there and way below. So any of this stuff you can do, and I'm going to try to make it as simple to understand as possible and as executable as possible. All right, cool. So this is a statement I've been making for a while. I wrote it the other day in the top of a sales letter. Some of you guys might have seen. AI and bots will murder many businesses and make other people really, really rich in just the next 12 months alone. So if you're not adopting this stuff in your business right now, you don't have a choice. That's what I'm trying to get through to you today. Your mere survival may very well depend on it. Because as you just saw Mario talk about, the way that he's creating leads and hell, other people are going to learn to do more of this stuff. The landscape for great copy the bar is going to get higher and higher and higher as more writers and more business owners enter the fray as copywriters using AI. Is their copy going to be better than yours? Probably not. Is some of it going to be better than yours? You bet your ass, right? And they may just get lucky. Most of you guys have written your best leads ever. You kind of just got lucky. It just popped in your head one day. They may get that. So if you're not using this stuff, you're going to get in trouble. So Steve Jobs said, that was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs wrote a quote once about his motivation to put a personal computer in everybody's home. And I think it really applies today to AI. The condor, I don't know if has anybody ever heard this story? Nobody? Yeah. This is a condor, that beautiful animal. The condor is the most efficient animal in the world. meaning that it expends less energy and less calories to survive, hunt its prey, and be successful in the wild than any other animal in the world. Number one. Humans, even the smartest humans in the world, rank number 19 in the list of human efficiency, of animal efficiency. But check it out. If you put a human on a bicycle, we're number one. So the only thing that really differentiates us from animals, and the reason we kind of rule the planet, other than ruling that bear that's on cocaine, because that motherfucker in charge, other than that, right, is our ability to create and use tools. So if you're worried about AI, like, I don't know where this is going, I don't know what's going to happen, let me tell you, don't be too worried about AI taking over, right? There's still a lot of things that a 4-year-old toddler can do that AI cannot. So they're not, this is just the truth. AI is not going to replace humans, not anytime soon anyway, and probably never, frankly. But people who use AI and bots will definitely replace people who don't. So if you've decided you're going to stay away from this for a while, or you're going to wait, or you're going to do it next week, man, God help you. Because I've been at this for 3 freaking years. I've been talking about it on stage for 2.5 years. And I've watched so many people go, oh my God, that was amazing, and then do absolutely nothing when the technology was available to them. But when you make it a freaking chat bot, everybody loses their mind, right? Because it's easy. So let's talk about the 2 things that are like on the top of everybody's mind right now, ChatGPT and OpenAI. So by show of hands in the room, who has used ChatGPT? It's almost everybody, right? Who uses it daily? Maybe half the room. This is the real test. Who has an open API? Who has an OpenAI API key? Emma, you owe me dinner. Told ya, right? So if you're just using ChatGPT, you're getting about this much of the power of AI, about this much, all right? And that's super powerful, right? I'm not diminishing the power of ChatGPT. I'm just telling you that when you start incorporating AI into other applications and tools you use, and you begin technology stacking, like I'm going to show you today, you're going to be able to do things that you can't even imagine. And in just a minute, I'm going to pose a question to you guys that I hope when you leave here burns a hole in your brain. Because to all my private clients, I ask them every single time I talk to them this same question over and over and over again. Because the biggest challenge I see with all of this technology is not the technology. The limitation is not the technology. The limitation's between your ears. It's being able to open up your head to understand what you are now capable to do. You have superpowers. You are a Marvel character now. You really, truly are, armed with this little suit of technology, right? So here's the thing I want you to understand. And the reason I'm going to talk about stacking of technologies and why it's so important, that all AI can do is think. That's all it can do. It can think and it can decide. It can analyze, right? So functionally, AI, think about it this way. AI is just a brain in a jar. If you start thinking of it that way, it makes a whole lot more sense. It can't actually do anything. It can only think, right? So AI is only one piece of the puzzle. But if you take AI, generative, I always get this damn word, I hate this word, generative, did I still say it wrong? Generative, there you go. Generative AI just means, you hear that term, a lot of people don't know what it means. It just means that it generates an output. That's all that it means. Because a lot of AI doesn't even generate an output, right? It just thinks and analyzes, but doesn't generate an output. So generative AI generates an output. If you can tie that to what's called RPA, does anybody, who knows what RPA is in the room? Holy shitballs. Wow. RPA is something called robotic process automation. Robotic process automation. This is the ability to take the decisions made by AI and have them actually do things. These are the appendages. These are the arms and the legs of the brain in the jar, right? So, and those robots, by the way, can be like, those kind of robots, but they're also just soft bots, soft robotics. Soft robotics just means anything a person can do at a keyboard. Anything a human could do at a keyboard, you can do with very inexpensive, very simple to use software. So that when AI makes a rule or a determination or a thought and comes up with the best solution, you can actually tell the AI that you can feed that AI decision into a piece of software and a bot will take action on that. So like at a McDonald's right now, they just opened the first McDonald's that has no employees. There's one guy in the thing that watches all the robots flip the burgers and dunk the fries and all that. So the order comes through the microphone, and there's an AI that understands what the order means, right? That's one of the things that AI does well. It interprets what's called unstructured data. So it understands that you want a cheeseburger and a fry and a Coke, right? And then it has to tell that, it has to relate that information in to the robotic machines inside that are making the Coke, making the hamburger, making the fries. You can do that digitally. Every process that you're using in your business right now, where you're going, well, I got to get a domain name. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go over here to this domain search engine. I'm going to find out what's out there that's available to me. What are the options? What are the prices? Is this in my price range? I'm going to register the domain. I'm going to go activate my hosting account. I'm going to install a raw install of WordPress, right? How many of y'all ever done that? Like most people in a room. I can do that now in 1 second. Boop. Done. Right? A bot does it. Now, when you incorporate that into no-code software, which a lot of you probably have heard of, but may not know what it really means, it just means it's software that you can create without actually having to know how to code. Really simple software solutions, up to very complex software solutions, can be made now by total laymen, right? So the software can tell the AI what you want it to decide, and it can tell the bot what to do after the AI makes a decision. And all that can be put together in a little bitty application on your phone or on your computer, where when I want to do that WordPress install, I can literally hit, and all those actions happen on all those different websites. And it can even reach out to information that's stored on my local computer. So I can have it pull things from local spreadsheets or documents that I've written, take that out to the AI, have the AI analyze it, and go find me examples. Like the other day, I had something I'd written. It was an article for a long time ago for one of my lifestyle blogs. And I wanted to find the top 10 best-selling products in each of the things that I mentioned on Amazon, along with the links. And please append my affiliate link to the end of the string, right? It did all that for me. So just by taking something I already had, it created that output for me. And then finally, this is the part I don't think hardly anybody's using. TEO. It's my own term. I made it up. It's tech-enabled outsourcing. So powering your people that are working for you, your outsourcers, or even your core employees, but really, in my opinion, your core people, your biggest decision makers in your business, really shouldn't need these tools that much. They should be handling quality assurance and prompting. They need to be helping the people to prompt, create these systems. One thing's great about this, if you set up your prompting for the AI and you build the RPA robot, you put a no-code piece of software, nobody can see what's there. It's a black box. So when you give it to an outsourcer and say, go do this, they're just hitting a button and an outcome's happening. They have no idea how it happened, right? You think you could sell those boxes to other people? Yeah, it's called software. Right? So these tools that we build for our own use, we sell as software applications. Okay. So that being said, does everybody get that kind of sorta? Anybody stuck? Anybody stuck so far? So I got $1 billion question for you. Because you guys are all here as part of a copywriting group. I know that. And I'm not trying to shit on copywriters or shit on copywriting or shit on any kind of writing. right? But writing is one use of AI. And it's a great use of it, right? But I got $1 billion question for you. Because you can fool around with little stuff with these tools, or you can fool around with really damn big stuff, right? And that's going to be the determining factor of the wealth of the people in this room in 12 months from now. So here's the $1 billion question I ask all of my clients all the time. If you had an army of 10,000 super smart workers willing to do your bidding 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for free, what would you have them do? Because that's the question that's being asked in the Valley right now. That's the question that major tech companies are coming up with. Because this technology, not only is it amazing, not only is it transformational, it's dirt ass cheap. I can't believe that they're letting people use this technology for the money they're letting them use it for. It only tells me one thing, that what they have in the hopper is so much greater than what they're letting us see right now, right? Don't you agree? I really do believe that's true. So, but burn that question in your brain, because a lot of you guys are thinking about, well, man, I got, if I gave you a Sherman tank or an army of Sherman tanks, what are you going to go conquer? A fucking anthill? I'm going to write some blog posts. It's going to be real cool. I'm going to rank on Google. Nobody's going to be looking at shit in a year. Why do you care? Once you get used to AI, people just go to AI for the answers. It's the reason Bing, who ever heard of it? Bing, right? The buggy whip of the internet is all that. They have a waiting list right now for people to use freaking Bing. Because people don't want to search. They just want to be told the fucking answer, right? So if you can use this technology, it's a howitzer. Don't use it to shoot ants. Think big. Open up your brains big. Okay, good enough? So let's start talking about the different pieces of this. So the first is generative AI. So we'll talk about that first. Text. You guys are probably all using ChatGPT. After Mario's talk, I ain't gonna talk to you guys about prompting at all, because he's kicking ass on the prompting side. I'm gonna give you a couple of resources there, but he's really showing you how it's done. I'll show you a few things that I do, but not much. I think from Stefan and from Mario and from that team, you guys are going to learn prompting in a far deeper way than I could teach you if I had all day, right? So I don't want to really go down that road. But there's ChatGPT, but there's also OpenAI. So the difference in ChatGPT and OpenAI is simple, and it proves my first point. Okay? How many of you used AI for anything a year ago? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a half dozen people in the room. Do you know why? Because there was no bot attached to it. There was no robot to talk to you. The Chat GPT is just a chat bot. That's the robot that's delivering back and interacting with you, right? AI by itself was too restrictive for people to learn how to use. They just didn't get it, right? And like companies like Jasper were so smart to take the OpenAI key, build some prompts for it, and let you press a button to run a prompt. That's basically what Jasper is. And no disrespect to Dave and them, but God Almighty, man, they got $100 and something million in VC for that. And any of us in here could reproduce it tonight. It really is not hard to reproduce. It's just tuning and training and prompts. It's really pretty easy. But they just got on it early, and they knew people were going to be lazy. Right? They knew people were going to be lazy. So the big thing you're hearing about right now is prompt engineering, which what Mario talked about earlier, and his amazing, by the way, kick-ass fucking example, just monster good. But prompt engineering is going to be one of the big three fields, I think, that are going to dominate the next 3 or 4 years. I think prompt engineering, digital video artists, digital and visual and video artists, and data science, I think are going to be the three biggest fields in our arena in the next few years. But prompt engineering is first. So rather than go down a rabbit hole of talking to you about 1 million prompts, I'm going to give you my favorite resource for it. It's called sassprompts.com. This guy's got 500 prompts in here, and he keeps adding more and more prompts to it. It's free, doesn't cost anything, really pretty awesome. sassprompts.com, go over there and you pull some examples out. Today, I learn most of what I'm learning about AI right now from YouTube and some from TikTok, but a lot from YouTube. The best money I ever spent in my life you mean I paid money to come here for him to tell me to go to freaking YouTube? The best money I ever spent in my life was buying YouTube Premium, because you can get down into really deep tutorials. There's people doing deep dives into AI and robotics and all this stuff on YouTube that if you got to deal with the commercials, it's not worth watching. But without the commercials, it's awesome. And if you guys don't have $11, I'll loan you some money. But the great thing about YouTube is you subscribe to all those channels. These people are putting out new stuff every day because it is such a new technology. People are figuring out new ways to use it every day. And there's going to be a handful of people who are going to be masters at it, just masters. And they're going on YouTube just to show off, to show you that they can do it, right? My daughter, when she was a kid, she went to volunteer at a nursing home, and it was really cute. She came home one day and she said she went to teach art class because she's an artist, and she went to teach painting class to all these people in the nursing home. And she said, I think she was about 9, 10. She said, Dad, it's funny. We give everybody the paint, we give everybody the canvas, we give everybody the brushes. But you know what, Dad? Some people just can't paint. And that's true. This is just a paintbrush. These tools are paintbrushes. So, you may all have Photoshop, but I bet not many of you Photoshop artists. If you can learn to use this like a tool, it's just a paintbrush, and you can do miraculous things. So one thing that I do that's a little bit different I want to share with you, I just started doing this recently, is for each of my blog properties, I used to pay gurus for my blog properties to be the guru of the blog property. Not anymore, right? So when you go into ChatGPT, it's good for this, and you start creating a ChatGPT chat, how many of you guys know to save those chats? Only a few. So let me tell you why you save them. Because everything in that chat is a learning experience for the AI. You're training the AI to write. So the first thing I start with when I'm doing content stuff is to build a bio. So I build a very deep bio, a customer avatar. Most of the time, I ask ChatGPT to build it for me, right? But I ask a way that it understands, and I'll walk through that in a second. But I build a bio. So this is an example of just interest, education, family. I'll ask it to pretend to be a syndicated gardening columnist of the last 10 years from Atlanta, Georgia, was born on a farm, raised by her grandmother, stuff like that. And it'll give me back a person. I'll even talk about who inspired them as a child. They watched Paula Deen on television, so they're racist. They write in the tone of Louis Grizzard and Mark Twain, but are funny, witty, and sarcastic. And I go through a whole bio, and Emma, I was showing Emma the other day one of these that I did, and it was really super cool. And the first piece of copy that I ever wrote was an article on worm farming. And the article starts, "Hey y'all, Susan here. My grandma, when I lived on the farm out in Alabama, my grandmama, she loved gardening and always wanted me to garden, but I always liked digging around the worms." And the whole thing was just hilarious. I wrote one on growing mushrooms. And she said, "Yeah, you're just a bunch of fun guys." Very funny, humor injected. But look at this. This is pretty cool. So this is the bio. I don't know if you can read it. I can't read it from here. But this is the bio that it created for my gardening guru. When I was done with creating the bio, I asked ChatGPT to write me a mid-journey prompt to create a portrait of the guru. And that's her, right? So this whole thing, by the way, every image in my presentation was generated with Midjourney. How many of y'all are using Midjourney? Oh, wow, only a handful. Midjourney is super cool. We're gonna get to Midjourney pretty good. Okay. So here's a couple of prompt hacks that I use. I don't see everybody using, but some people do. Most people go to ChatGPT and they ask it a question straight away. I don't hardly ever do that. I start to explain to it what I want it to do, and at the end of each of those statements, I always say, "Do you understand?" Just like I used to my teenage kids, my son Ben, who's here. Do you understand? Yes. Okay, repeat back to me what I just told you. Because I don't think you do, right? Teenagers don't, they hear what they want to hear. So I ask it at the end of every statement, do you understand? So I may ask it, you know, I want to create a fictitious writer to write a blog as a gardening expert. Do you understand? Yes. I want to be a middle-aged woman, 53 years old, from the deep south. Do you understand? Yes. You know, I wanted to be a syndicated columnist to over 100 newspapers nationwide. Do you understand? Yes. So I'll ask it multiple times if it understands, and it's going to spit all that stuff back to me. And then when I was done with that, I ask it to create me an avatar about my writer. Then I ask it, what else do you think that our readers are going to want to know about Susan in order to identify with her and bond with her more through her work? Well, they probably wants to know how many kids she has, if she's married, how long she's been married, what her methodologies and origin of gardening is, what her technology styles are, why she got involved. It asked me all that. I said, can you write me a background like that? Yeah, sure, no problem. And then it gave me that, right? So now I save that as Susan in my ChatGPT window. So every time I go back to write another gardening article from Susan, I don't have to do all that again, right? And by the way, like I think Mario was leading to earlier, I discovered the weirdest thing the other day, that once you go through that big, long process, you can ask it at the end. I think at 23 steps in creating her. I said, can you list for me the steps that I just went through to create this outcome? Yeah. Great. Can you write me one prompt that will do that in the future? Sure, no problem. Boom, 2,000 word prompt. Right? So you can actually have it write your prompts for, you can have ChatGPT write prompts for ChatGPT or for DALL-E or for Midjourney or really any other AI. It'll write you the prompts itself. Okay. One of the ones I really like is critique me. So once I've written something, if it's a branding statement, like I'll create a branding, I want to create a branding statement for my new roach killer product, let's say, right? So I'll give it some parameters and it'll create me a branding statement. And I'll say, now, will you please pretend to be advertising legend David Ogilvy and critique my branding statement? Sure. And it tells you what Ogilvy would do to sell that thing, or your branding statement. If I write it as a long form sales letter, I'll ask, maybe it's an event letter, please critique this as long form direct response copywriter Dan Kennedy, let's say. You can actually brainstorm in the same way. Have you guys used the brainstorming feature yet? Who's used brainstorming? Brainstorming is a lot of fun. So I want to brainstorm. Do you understand? Yes. Okay. I want you to be Steve Jobs, and I'm going to be a guy launching a new computer hardware company. And this is my product, and this is what I sell. Can I now, do you understand? I want to brainstorm with Steve. And you can have a conversation with it. You can ask it if he thinks it's a good idea. If not, why not? What would make it a good idea? If you were selling it, Steve, what would you do? You can do this with living people, dead, it doesn't matter. You can even go back and ask Mark Twain how would he explain AI. And they said, well, Mark Twain wasn't living at the time of AI, but I suspect that if he were today, he would explain it like this in very easy to understand, humorous layman terms, right? Brainstorming is super cool. This is one that I'm digging on a lot, is having it. So I'll have a whole article that I've written or a whole piece of some concept I've come up with, and I'll say, write me a proverb that rhymes. Because people love freaking proverbs. So you can put your thing in there and summarize it in a proverb. If it does not fit, if it does not fit, you must acquit. The riches are in the niches. It'll write that shit for you. And that's what people are going to repeat after they read your stuff. Has anybody used the spreadsheets feature yet? No one? Oh, this one's going to jack you up. It's really fun. So I went in the other day when we were starting to do this project I'm going to tell you about in a minute. When we started to do it, we were going to do it manually. We ended up doing it in a bulk fashion. But I own conventions.com. So we were trying to pull a list of all the biggest conventions in the world. And I just went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, can you list me the top 100 conventions in the world around the concrete industry? Sure. Right? Now, will you do me a favor and go out and get me the URL, the dates of their next show, a description of the show, the email to the show organizer, the phone number of the show organizer, and the approximate amount of attendees. Oh, by the way, if you don't mind, put that in a spreadsheet for me. No problem. There's my spreadsheet. Right? So we were going to do that for about 100 industries, trying to come up with 10,000 shows. I'll show you how we ended up doing it instead, which was wicked cooler. But it will produce all sorts of stuff for you in a spreadsheet format, and you're going to understand why that's so important in a minute when I get to bots and no-code software. It's really important that you can begin to organize your information, your data in a spreadsheet format when you start with the robotics part. It'll do product research. I'll ask it if I'm worm farming. If I'm going to worm farm, what are the things I'm going to need? Supplies I'm going to need to worm farm. You're going to need all this. Great. Can you go give me the top 3 selling products in each of those categories in Amazon along with the product link? No problem. There you go. All right. So you can put together buy lists. Pretend to be somebody else. We talked about that. This one is something that I don't know what kind of content you guys are trying to create or what kind of sales letters you're trying to create. But I have a couple of blogs, survivallife.com, the American Gun Association, breaking news alerts. It's all conservative news, right? All conservative news stuff. Well, my people are like junkyard dogs. They love the Rush Limbaugh, bombastic, Steve Bannon kind of people. And you can't find a lot of articles like that. So I was trying to write them as them, but they weren't coming out right. So this is something you could do I really wouldn't have thought you could do. I took an article from NPR, which is always going to be pretty liberal or right in the middle, and it was about how 75% of people now favor stronger gun laws in America. The tide's kind of turning, right? So I dropped that article. Just all you have to do, by the way, is drop the link to the article in. You don't have to drop the whole article in, just a link. I dropped the link to the article in and I said, please write me an angry rant response to this article in the voice of Steve Bannon. Holy shit. It was like, these commie bastards, sons of it. I mean, it was like, he went crazy. And I'm like, bingo. My conservative nut's gonna love that. You can do all sorts, you can form corporations. You can say, hey, will you form me a Nevada corporation for the following name and this purpose and send me the doc, everything I need for the incorporation document, the a sample operating agreement, yada, yada, yada. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not telling you to go use that without your lawyer, but it's a great way to start. Any kind of legal anything. You can analyze a legal doc. I watched this morning, really cool, was on TV this morning, actually. Was on the Today Show. They were taking the complaint from Georgia and uploaded it to ChatGPT and said, what are the legal arguments? What are the legal points in this brief that could lead to the conviction of Donald Trump for this? And it analyzed and said, here are the arguments that the prosecuting attorney should make. This is their meat and potatoes. And then it asked it on the other side, what are the things in this report that could be used to exonerate Mr. Trump? And it went the other side of the aisle and made an argument for the things that could exonerate him. So you can look for loopholes in contracts. That's one that's really good. Look for loopholes in this contract. Look for gotchas. They might not understand gotchas, but look for ways that this could not be a good contract for me as the first party, right? All that stuff, like legal reviews, it's crazy that it can do that. I told you about the all-in-one prompt. One of the things we're doing right now, a lady that works with us, Amanda Dobson, works inside Go High Level, which I think a lot of you guys probably use Go High Level. Sometimes Go High Level won't look the way we want it to look or do what we want it to do. And we had a guy that wrote CSS for us in Java code for Go High Level. Now she just goes to ChatGPT and says, hey, do you know Go High Level? Do you know the software program Go High Level? Yeah. Are you familiar with this API? Yep. Great. I needed to do this. Will you write me a JavaScript? Sure. Plug the JavaScript in, and the thing does what you want it to do. And one of the things I like the most is explain it to me like I'm 10. Because that's about where I stopped maturing mentally. It's really handy though, because we all know that you want to be writing. I'm sure that Stefan teaches you guys to write at a lower grade level for the most successful, sales pieces. So those are some hacks that I really like. So I know that these guys did a much better job of that than I'll ever do. So listen to them. I do go to a lot of trouble to wash the stuff that I write if it's going to search. If you don't care about it going to search, who gives a shit, right? If it's AI generated or not, nobody cares. But if you're going to send it to search, you pretty much want to wash it, I think, because Google's on sort of a warpath against this, but I think they're about to just give up because I don't think they can do it. I don't think there's any way they can effectively sniff it out. I really don't. It's too damn good. Especially if you prompt, like Mario was showing you, a prompt like I was showing you, there's too many personality variables mixed in. It's very different. Most of what I'll do will show up when I run it through a test at 60% to 80% human written, which is probably enough to pass the sniff test, but I'd like to get in the high 90s. So here's how I do it. I run it through content at scale, but now there's a bunch of these testing tools, but you can go to content at scale and just drop in your text there, and it'll tell you the probability of it being written by an AI tool. Right? And to me, if it's under 60% and you're going to use it for search, you're probably barking up the wrong tree, right? So if you drop it in here first, find out where you're at, and then I use this little tool called Quillbot. Does anybody use Quillbot? Yeah, a few people. Quillbot's a great kind of rephraser, but everything I drop into Quillbot and hit one button, 10 seconds later is usually 98% human written. Super, super easy, a little cheap tool. And if I really care about it a lot, I'll go through it line by line with something called WordTune. WordTune works like, WordTune is a browser plugin, and it works like Grammarly does, but every sentence in your copy, you can go through them one sentence at a time. It's actually a great way for you to review to make sure there's no weird crap that AI dropped into your copy, because sometimes it will drop some weird stuff, right? That's the reason I always listen to everything. I use another tool called Retoro to listen to everything audibly before I publish it. But you go through one sentence at a time like you do with Grammarly, and it gives you 3 or 4 different ways to rephrase that sentence. So if you use those two tools, you can get to 100% human written really, really, really fast. The Quillbot tool only takes a few seconds. I ran a 5,000 word sales letter through WordTune the other day, and it probably took me 30 minutes. But it came out as 100% human written at the end, and it was not. Okay. Has anybody who else has done something beyond text with AI? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. So let's talk about images for a minute. As a person who has had the shit suit out of them 10 billion million times for copyright infringement for images, because I have a bunch of media properties, every time we use, my guys in the Philippines or somewhere will grab an image somewhere. I swear to God, these copyright trolls love my ass. I've probably paid $500,000 to copyright trolls in the last 4 or 5 years. I'm really excited about creating my own images. The leader in images, there's a bunch. There's one called DALL-E. There's a lot of them. But the leader right now is Midjourney, and that may very well change, okay? So Midjourney generates just absolutely beautiful images with just a few words of a prompt. And the more you learn to use it, the more you can get out of it. So for instance, this is, what's that say, muscular plumber? Is that all it says? Let me put on my glasses. Handsome, muscular plumber. And it gives me that. Not much to work with, right? This was one we actually used for a product label called Angry Amish. This is a furniture polish that we're selling. So I wanted an angry looking bearded Amish man, and it just says, old Amish man, bearded, angry. That's it. And it gave me 4 of them. We used one of them, we incorporated in the label. So I decided next, I want to design the packaging for this thing. What kind of packaging am I going to put it in? And it came up with packaging concepts for me. I could have incorporated the old man into the packaging, and eventually we did. But you can ask it for, that just says, I'm going to fall off here, watch this. Bed bug killer, label, bottle, retail, industrial feel. Yeah, who knows? This was one just yellow sneakers. So that was sneaker store, put a yellow sneaker, yellow and black sneaker on the front. It creates images like this. It's crazy. One of the things I didn't show you, that was a landing page, by the way. Yeah, that was for a landing page. So it'll design the mock-up of all your landing pages for you, so you just send them over to your graphic artist afterward and say, this is what I'm looking for. So instead of trying to spend 3 hours trying to explain to a graphic artist what you're looking for, just play with this for 15 minutes till you get the exact look you want, send that over, and you're done. You can't necessarily use this in sections yet. There's going to be software coming out very, very soon that's going to let you break that down into layers. And you'll just be able to use it right out of the box. But send it to them, they can reproduce it, right? Imagine how much time it'll save you dealing with creatives. So here's how you use Midjourney, how you prompt Midjourney. You want to come up with a thing. These are kind of the basic prompts. You want to come up with a thing. You want to come up with an adjective, a style, and then you can actually add fantasy if you want. So you can say, I want a glass top table. I want it to be futuristic, bright colors. I want it in a Baroque style or an abstract style or surreal style. And I want to add magic to it, make it magical, make it wizardry. Do whatever you want to it. You can just add these adjectives, just use your imagination, create a few prompts for it, and the next thing you know, you're just generating these images that'll blow your mind, stuff you could never get out of your graphic artists. And they're all yours. They're all original. And weirdly enough, as far as everybody thinks right now, they're copyrightable. They're copyrightable. They're yours. You created them with this tool as if you painted them with a paintbrush. How crazy is that? So you can actually license them to make money if you want to, or you can sue people that steal them like me. It's probably an easier way to make money. All right, cool. So this is a crash course, but again, back to YouTube. If you want to learn how to prompt Midjourney, there's a billion fantastic YouTube videos on it. I was going to show you all these hacks. So these are cheat codes, like for instance, AR at the end of whatever you're doing, --AR is aspect ratio. So if you don't want to be square, it could be a aspect ratio, or if you do test or test P means make it photographic quality instead of cartoon quality, or the different stylizations, all these little codes you have to remember. But guess what somebody did? They created a free tool for that. So now before you write your Midjourney prompts, you can go here to Noonshot. It's prompts.noonshot.com and just enter in what you want. And Noonshot will change the aspect ratio for you, the photo style. If you're using photograph, you can tell it, I want it to look like it came off of a 1970s Nikon camera with Kodak Chroma Key 17 film. And the shit will do it. It makes no sense at all. It's just absolutely fantastic what you can do. If you want to buy prompts, and I suggest you do buy them, because a lot of really, really, really good prompts are for sale on PromptBase for $1 or $2 or $3, and they'll show you the output of the prompt before you buy it. And once you buy the prompt, it's yours, and you can take that prompt and edit that prompt any way you want. So it's a great way to start. You're going to find a theme running through everything I'm going to teach you today. I love starting with something versus starting with nothing. I love starting with a theme. Because you think about WordPress, right? Who here built a WordPress site in like the 90s where you had to like code that shit, right? Yeah. So now what do? You buy a theme, you buy plugins, bada bing, bada boom, you're done, right? Then you can do the same thing. If you don't want to learn all this crap, just go buy it, and by osmosis, you're going to pick it up over time. If you buy a few prompts, you buy $100 for the prompts over time, you're probably going to understand how the prompt writers are writing the prompts. And PromptBest does it for DALL-E, for GPT-3, for Stable Diffusion, ChatGPT, all of them. Stable Diffusion is another big graphic engine. There's a bunch of them, and there's more to come. I didn't want to make this talk specifically about certain tools because tomorrow there'll be another one that's better. You know, like the gentleman was saying earlier, Mr. Jones was here, that there were 700 tools last week. There's 800 tools this week, right? So you're talking about 100 new software tools, AI software tools hit the market in a week, right? There'll be tens of thousands by the end of this year. And if you go down the rabbit hole of just finding more tools without executing, you're going to blow your brains out because you'll just waste a shitload of time. Find tools and start using them. Okay, code. I'm not going to spend much time on this because I am not a coder at all. However, you can write code, like I said, with ChatGPT. Simple stuff, JavaScript, CSS. CSS really great. You say, I want to change the CSS of this to look this way or that way. It really understands you and it'll create CSS for you where you can change the look of certain things. If you're really a serious coder, Source.so owned by OpenAI, and it will code in any language in the world for you. It'll also debug code, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know much about code, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on that, but my folks are using this a lot. Audio, this is one of the most fun things. Has anybody used any AI audio yet? A couple people? Okay. So I'm going to show you a few that are really interesting AI audio generators. The one that's probably the hottest right now is called 11 Labs. So 11 Labs, you drop anything in, and what made 11 Labs really different is it enunciates. So a lot of the text audio generators say, "Hi, my name is Perry, and I am a robot. You can tell because my voice never goes up or never goes down." You know, that kind of thing. 11 Labs is figure out some freaky ass way to know when to enunciate and go, "Hey, this is Perry." You know, and you can adjust it to the craziness level you want it to go to. All right, but listen to this. Have we got audio up? We good?
Welcome to Copy Accelerator Live, the leading event for professional copywriters and entrepreneurs that want to grow their businesses by using better copy.
So she's better than average, right? But wouldn't this be cool? What if you could do this?
Welcome to Copy Accelerator. I'm your speaker, Perry Belcher. This is the leading event for entrepreneurs who want to grow their businesses by using better copy.
It took an entire 1 minute for me to train it to do that. It now has my voice mapped, right? Any of you can map your voice for $10 or something. It's nothing. And it'll be, it's not ideal, but boy, this is going to be just a scammer's paradise, by the way. You know, "Grandma, they're throwing me in jail in Tijuana, send $1,000. You know that shit's going to happen, right? And I didn't even go into, I'm not even going to show you the video synths that are out there that can take that audio, put it to a face. Like craziness, I didn't show it in this presentation, but the lady that I produced, the gardener lady, I can go to something called D-ID and make her talk. Or I can take your picture and make you talk. Or pictures of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and make him talk from however long ago. Thank you. Right? It's pretty crazy shit. Another great tool for audio is this one, Well Said Labs. I've been talking about this since the first talk I did at TNC. I showed this. It really hasn't improved a great deal, but it's pretty damn good. So good, in fact, that radio stations are beginning to use it. Check this out.
Are you ready to get revved up?
Can we turn it up?
Port of Seattle has all the hottest SUVs you've been searching for.
Yeah.
Can you guess how many airplanes are shown on this map?
If a client calls wanting to know when their claim will be processed and when they will receive their funds, here are the steps you should take. Helping a client through their accident claim can be a difficult process.
The lungs provide the pump. They send airflow as well as control air pressure to the vocal fold.
Welcome to new patient protocols for the ICU.
These are awesome for, so we use these now in our software development company for all of our help buttons throughout the software. Instead of pulling up written text, we pull audios up and we tell them how to fix the thing that they are trying to fix with audio. Pretty cool, right? This is cool too. This is called Loudly. So Loudly will actually produce music. So you can tell, I want a sad country ballad about a man's dog who never came back, also known as every country song. You know what happens, by the way? You know, you used to say if you played rock and roll records backwards, you had satanic messages. If you played country records backwards, your dog came back, your wife came back. Yeah. All right, cool. Enough of that. But Loudly is pretty cool, and this is a really interesting thing for people in social. Some people are producing Loudly, music on Loudly that is their music when it's done. It's your music. If you could get it popularized behind tracks on social like TikTok, they'll have to pay you a royalty for that to use it, just like any other music. So it's pretty rudimentary right now, but it's going to be big. Video. We use, everybody's talked about Descript. Who's not using Descript? Who is using Descript? Lots. So one thing's really cool about Descript, it does two things that are kind of hidden in it if you are using it. It's just the greatest video editing platform I've seen. But besides that, it has some really cool features. It transcribes, it creates amazing captions with its fancy caption tool to ride right over the top of the video. But it does two things I don't see a lot of people doing. If you're recording, if you got a VSL or you got a live recording and you said, hey, I'm gonna give you all this for just $297 a month, and then now offer bombs, and you're like, shit, I gotta re-record the video. You don't. You just go in and type correct, and where it says $297, you say type in whatever you want the price to be. And in your voice, it will correct it on the video. So there's another company called Tavis that's doing videos that way, where you can send people personalized videos that say, hey, Jim, hope things are going good down there in Cleveland. And Jim and Cleveland are coming out of a spreadsheet. So you can drop in a spreadsheet and produce 100 custom videos that you can send out for introductions. Works killer for cold outreach mails. But the other thing Descript's got buried in it that nobody notices, it has a sound mastering tool. So when you do your video editing in Descript, the AI will master the sound. So it'll sound like you're in an NPR studio if you want it to, even if you were doing it in the back of your garage. It take out all the noise, masters up the sound, it just sounds wonderful. This is another one called WiseCut that we use a little bit for our social stuff. Have you noticed how everybody's cutting the social videos really with chops, really short cuts? Descript does a pretty good job of cutting out, oh, I forgot to tell you that, it cuts out all the oohs and the ahs in your videos. Cuts out all the dead space. If you say it just deletes all that. So does WiseCut, but WiseCut makes a little jumpier cuts. So if you want those little quick move Hormozy style social videos, you can use that. And for you guys that are old like me and you got a lot of video content out there that was recorded a long time ago, you wish you could use, but it's old and funky. Topaz Labs is great. You can upload your old videos into here, and the AI will watch them and convert them to super sharp 4K high-res video. And then you can drop them back into Descript, and Descript will master the audios, like remaster the audios like they remaster a Prince album, right? So if you've got a big archive of old material you want to use, it's a great way to do it. And then lastly, we use this one quite a lot now. It's called Content Fries. Has anybody used this yet? It's super groovy. So you drop in your content into it, long form videos in it. It finds the place to cut the videos. It cuts them, it chops them into the pieces, and then it formats them for each of the different video platforms. So you can do it all really automatically. When, I was paying somebody a lot of money to do that for me. We don't pay that anymore. We just completely replaced a human. And this thing will do the work of like 100 humans in a day. So if you're trying to chop up a shitload of video into short form, it's bomb. It's really, really good. SEO, if you guys are into SEO at all, anybody here still doing SEO stuff? A few people. The SEO is still going to be around, by the way. People are like, well, ChatGPT is going to replace SEO. I don't think it will right away because people are still going to search for stuff to buy, which is the most important thing. I don't think they're going to search so much for information anymore like they have been. I think they're going to watch videos for information and they're going to go to the chats for information. But they're still going to search for stuff to buy. So purchasing decisions, SEO is still important for. So 2 things you can do right now. One thing you do right now, who has a blog or content online right now? Only a handful? Wow. So if you have content online and it's not been what's called schema markup, so if it's not went through a proper schema markup, old content hasn't. Schema content ranks really well in Google right now. Unschemaed content doesn't. Schema just means formatting your content in a way that Google understands what the pieces of the content are, so you can get position zeros and all that. WordLift will go through your entire blog and reformat every piece of content in your blog to be schemaed. And for us, every time we schema a piece of content, we usually see a 3 to 4 times increase in traffic to that piece of content over the next 60 days. So if you're getting 100,000 visitors to your blog right now, and you want to get 400,000 visitors to your blog, hit it with WordLift. It's going to cost you $49 though. So you got to be able to make money. Surfer SEO, most people have heard about. If you're going to be in the SEO business and you don't use this tool, you just hate money. Because what it does is really fascinating. It ties into Jasper, but it ties into other things too. OpenAI key now, I think. But it basically takes everything that you create, tells you how to make it better by not just the standards, right? By not just, hey, you want to put more keywords here, you want to do this here, that there. It analyzes everyone who ranks above you for that term and tells you what they're doing and exactly what it's going to take you to overtake them, and even how long it's going to take for you to do it. Isn't that nuts? This is an amazing tool. It's a super sophisticated tool. If you're not a serious SEO person, don't get it. But if you're using SEO and you have somebody on staff, get them this tool. It'll change their life and it'll change your results. Okay, so y'all got all this, right? All right, cool. So on to my favorite part. All that's not my favorite part. I just wanted to kind of give you some examples of the things you're probably missing. My favorite thing is RPA, by a long shot. Because when you get to that 10,000 people rule, it's all about RPA, robotic process automation. So this is what the process of RPA is in the corporate world. And I'll tell you how it's being used in corporate. They do something called knowledge mining. So a great example is the company I'm about to show you in a second, UiPath, went into a major auto insurance company. They had 4,000 people processing insurance claims of under $5,000. The cost to process a claim by the time they were all the way through the claim was hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So take 4,000 people spending hundreds of dollars per claim. Think about how much money that is. That weren't going to the claimants and certainly weren't going to the insurance companies. And I don't know if you know this or not, but insurance companies like money. So PricewaterhouseCoopers or BDO, I forget which one. The big accounting firms are so into this, it's crazy. Went in and said, give us your best 3 people at processing claims. Right? And they just mapped the processes. They watched what they did and they recorded them. They used keystroke recorders to record exactly what they did to process a claim. And they went back and built a bot. The bot could do 30 days worth of work from the average worker in 13 minutes. The department went from 4,000 people to less than 50. But with a higher degree of accuracy and it was using something like a 16-step process or something like that to process a claim, do you think they made the process longer or shorter? No, they made it longer. They wanted it to be more thorough. Now they had the time to go check the person's driver's license record. They had the time to go do this, to go do that. Because the bot's a slave. It doesn't care how hard you work it. Time is not a constraint. So they were able to add tons of layers of security in. Once they get that, they build a bot, and guess what their business model is? They rent the bot to the corporation. That's the model right now. The biggest, it's more accurate, it's faster, it's more thorough, it's tireless, and it's super scalable. So that's UiPath. UiPath has been the leader in this, and that's who we started out using. But it's 30 grand for a UiPath license. I think it's additional $8,000 or $16,000 a seat, right? But the good news is you host the bot on UiPath, and when they don't want to pay anymore, you just hit a button and you disconnect their phone. They're going to pay pretty fast because nobody's going to go backwards, right? So I know you're guys, what the hell's this got to do with me? I'm getting there, I promise. So now there are some other alternatives. RoboCorp has a much less expensive solution. It's in a few $100 a month. And then now OpenBots is even less. It's like, I think you can get started for like $90 a bot, and they don't charge you per bot. They charge you for a license. Some of the companies charge you so much per bot. These are not the easiest things in the world to learn to create, right? You have to kind of know how to talk to the engine. It's drag and drop, but you got to drag and drop processes. If you guys are good at creating process maps, you're going to be great at it, right? But if you're not good at creating process maps, it's a bit of a booger. But the great news is, if you go to Upwork, in every one of these platforms, there's hundreds of providers. For $8 an hour, they'll just go build these bots for you, right? So you can start automating processes. So when you think about, when I do private client meetings, one of the things that we talk about is how much time the founders spend on income producing activities. And if y'all are all honest in here, you just do this in your head, I won't make you embarrass you like I do my people, because I have them go on a board and write everything that has to happen for their company to run, for it to operate. You should do this when you get home. It's fun. Not really, it's miserable. But you write down every single thing on a sticky note, everything. And then do a column for you and do a column for each of your team members. And look at how much dog shit is in your column. And then I ask them to create another column. What are the things you do that directly impact your income, that directly impact revenue of the company, growth of the company, profits of the company? And it's usually 3 or 4 primary things. And the punch in the gut's the next question. How many minutes did you spend last week on those things? The answer is pretty commonly 0 or next to 0. People doing tasks, or they're overseeing someone else doing a task because they don't know if it's going to be done correctly or not. When you create these processes, how many times have you created a process in your business, given it to your employees to follow, and surprisingly, they didn't follow it to the letter? Ever happened to you? You don't have a business. You're full of shit. You're either a liar or you don't have a business, right? The bot doesn't know. The bot does exactly what you tell it to over and over and over again every single time, right? So, but you got this coding hurdle, right? That sucks. But what if you didn't? So brand new tool out, almost nobody knows about. Read4n told me about it. It's called Cheat Layer. Worst name in the world. It's kind of like generative AI for bots. So you just go in and tell the bot what you want it to do, like you would tell an employee the steps you want them to follow. And just by using natural language, it writes the bot. This again costs close to $50 a month. to build these bots that can run your entire business. I have a private client of mine right now doing $12 million a year. We just cut his staff of 40 down to 5 with bots and AI. And he's happy as a freaking clam. I'm down 85 people this year in my US operations. Okay. And what's even cooler about that with Cheat Layer, and you're going to find this theme running through what I do, I talked about earlier about templates. So in Cheat Layer, damn it, I put my slide in the wrong place. That's probably going to pop up somewhere it's not supposed to be. I'll show you in a second. Cheat Layer has over 500 pre-written bots in it that probably are already going to do what you need it to do. How crazy is that? So you just go in and say, I want to use this one, go. And that's all included. And there's people in there developing, I'm sure they're going to do a marketplace and start selling them. But right now, I think they're all free. There's almost 500 of them. Cheat Layer's bomb, dude. It is bomb. GPT for Sheets. If you can't use this unless you have an open API key. It's one of the reasons I asked you if you had one. GPT for Sheets is super awesome. So you can take a bunch of stuff in to the spreadsheets in Google Sheets and batch process it with GPT. So you could download an entire blog of articles in a spreadsheet, in a CSV, and go through and say, just rewrite all of these in the voice of Tina Turner. And it'll just do them all. You don't think about it. It's doing it in the cloud in the background. It does a lot more than that. It'll also process any kind of spreadsheet data. It'll create spreadsheet formulas for you. It'll tell you where your spreadsheet errors are. It's amazing. It also does it for Word. This is just a browser plugin. I think I don't know if it's free or if it's like a few bucks. It's super, super, super cheap. But it's going to be pulling from your API key on OpenAI. So just be a little careful with it if you drag in 9 million fields, because you might spend some API key money. All right. That's RPA. So no code is the last little piece here. No code software. So the number one coding language in 2023 will be English. If I were a programmer right now, I would be shitting rocks. Because those little smug pricks that have asked me for all my money and then sat on their ass eating bonbons, fuck them. I'm so over them. I'm just kidding. If you guys are watching, I love you. Keep working. But it really will be. So you're just going to be able to go with natural language now and tell the thing what you wanted to do. I mean, it's almost there right now. You know, some of the biggest coders around right now, true Foursquare, badass Silicon Valley coders will tell you right now they're writing 85 to 90% of their code with AI. You know why? Because it's better. Same reason RPA is better. No human error. If RPA finds something it doesn't understand, it stops and it pops an error and says, I don't understand this. Or you can tell it to batch save all the errors to the end, and then you go fix the errors and it learns. So next time it doesn't make those errors. In a very short period of time, it's doing all that crap that you're paying humans to do for free or almost free. All right. So no code requires no code. That's the name. It's faster and much cheaper. So we just did a no code. I'll tell you about it in a second. We just did a no code project that probably cost the original company that did it $1 million. We did it in 9 days for $800. So creating a piece of software doesn't take months anymore. It takes days, in some cases hours, to create no code. Whether you do it yourself, which I wouldn't do, frankly, if I were you, because we're buying no code programmers on Upwork right now for $8 an hour. They're in like India and Bangladesh and all over, but they're awesome. What no code's really good for is pulling in API integrations, data sets from other places, sifting, sorting, manipulating that data, and producing an output from it. It's really, really, really good for that. It's really good for building marketplaces. It's really good for building directories. It's really good for building a lot of stuff. I'm going to give you some tools. You can go look at some of the examples. It ties in AI and RPA. So you can pull in Cheat Layer API, ChatGPT API You can pull all that in to Airtable API, all in to a no-code piece of software and create a black box that you own. You could be in the software business. All you guys always thought, man, I wish I'd be in the SaaS business. Now you can, anytime you want to. Just come up with a problem, solve it, have somebody build you a little piece of code out of it and sell it. It builds great marketplace shells, yeah. There are a few tools that you need to know about. Again, people are gonna say, well, you didn't tell them about this one, you didn't tell them about that one. I'm trying to give you best of class and not send you down a rabbit hole. Who uses Airtable? Several of you use an Airtable. Okay, so Airtable is kind of a no-code piece of software. You can create processes in Airtable that are like advanced spreadsheets, but Airtable's a relational database that looks like a spreadsheet. It's really a cool little tool. We use it a lot to do what I call mapped websites, and I'll explain what that is in just a second. So Airtable's a great tool. What's the greatest thing about Airtable? Well, look at this. All these recipes and tools and templates on Airtable. You want to manage an event? There's a table for that. All these things are already pre-written for you. So there's tons and tons of stuff in here that, there's tons and tons of stuff in here already pre-written. So it might not be perfect for you, but it gives you a place to start, right? The next is bubble.ai. I think it's bubble.io, isn't it? I think I got that wrong. It's bubble.io. Bubble is probably the leader in no-code software right now. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands of Bubble creators. And what the cool part with Bubble is you can grab one of their templates, create a new piece of software. Literally, some of them work almost right out of the can, right? And if you Google how to make blank in Bubble, somebody is either selling a template or core code. Like if you want to make an Uber for dog walking, you just say, give me an Uber. How do you build Uber in Bubble? And somebody will have a template. There's a company, I didn't put them on here. They're called Zero Code, ZeroQode. Zero Code, that sells about 350 templates. So if you go in and find a piece of software you want to reproduce, we just did Trello. So we got sick of paying Trello, and we got pissed off that Trello keeps jacking with our shit. Because I love Trello until that Atlassian bought it and fucked it all up. So we rebuilt it for our own use. Now we're going to sell it. Because we went in and found the two things that people have been asking for in Trello for 5 years. They wanted titles at the top of the columns, and they wanted colored tabs. We put both of them in ours in one day. Right? So now we have a Trello competitor that I can give away. So if you're thinking, well, I don't want to be in the software business, I don't know how to sell software, I've got a services business. I'll give you a little hint. You ever heard of a guy named Neil Patel? Y'all know Neil? Neil's a good buddy of mine. So Neil has gotten stinky rich doing one thing, giving away software. He's built software applications for related mostly to traffic and SEO. Don't you want to know why? Because he's got $100 million traffic and SEO agency. Who signs up for tools for traffic and SEO? People that actually don't know what the fuck they're doing. So that's his whole lead gen strategy, over 100,000 leads a month from free software. So you can go create free versions of software and give it away. I just bought coachingcall.com. So we're building a Calendly clone to give away 100% free for coaches and consultants. Guess who loves money? Coaches and consultants. So you may build software not to sell, you can build it to give it away. It costs you $800. Why do you care? Right? Bubble's business, by the way, is Bubble's actual business model is they're in the app hosting business. So if you build on Bubble, you got to host on Bubble, and that hosting on Bubble is going to cost you about twice as much as it costs to host it somewhere else. So as the app gets really big, you may want to have it recoded and go somewhere else with it. But really, really popular right now in the Valley, that people are developing no-code apps, just proving they can get users to use the app. Once they've done that, they can go get funding, right, and rebuild it. Again, 1,113 templates for different pieces of software in Bubble. 1,113. Your idea ain't probably going to be very original, right? And even if it is original, you can use one of these, like we used a dating app. I've got we bought retired vets to match up. It's a website for veterans that have been in wars before and try to catch up with their old Army buddies. And we fashioned it from a dating app, right? So we took a dating app and changed it to that. We're actually using that same dating app to build an application for VC companies and people looking for funding. So a lot of these are really universal to use. If you tie Airtable and Bubble together, you can use Airtable as your database to pull all your data in, manipulate your data, and feed it to Bubble as a front end or a UI. There's a couple other ways to do that. This is not, by the way, this is really a sidebar. This is not no code, but it kind of is. If you guys aren't selling in your business, if you're in the consulting business or if you're selling to people, if you're not selling a white label of high level, you're crazy. $500 a month, and I can sell as many instances of high level as I want under my own brand. Are you nuts? It's like 20 software tools in one. And you just pay $500 and I can print that thing out as many times as I want and sell it. In our bookkeeping business, I own part of bookkeepers.com with a guy named Ben Robinson, who's a gem of a partner. And we created our own marketing automation suite for bookkeepers called Keepful. We get $300 a month for it. $300 a month. Hundreds and hundreds of subscribers to this thing. We add a little coaching session in once a month for them. Bookkeepers, right? So you can customize down. You can take any of these apps and customize down into low markets. And I'm a real big fan of low market economics. So it's probably gonna be a long time before somebody in Silicon Valley says, ooh, I'm gonna go after that bookkeeper market. Or I'm gonna go after that taxidermist market. But you may be able to sit around and make $100,000 a month serving taxidermists because you had no development costs. You follow? What you can do in high level is really interesting. You can put in your own email journeys, you can put in your own landing pages, you can do all those things for them to give them duplicatable result. So if you're like, let's say that you're building one for garage door repair people, right? You can have all your marketing materials, all your automations, your journeys, your text messages, your appointment bookings, all that stuff in high level just for garage door repair people, pre-written, because you know it worked for it's probably going to work for the guy in Albuquerque, right? And you can push new data down the pipe to that new instance anytime you want. I'm going to give you an example real quick. I'm about to wrap up. I won't be long, I promise. I'm going to give you an example real quick of how you can tie these tools together. We just did this this past Friday. I've been wanting to do something. I've been wanting to do this for a year, and I just couldn't bring myself to spend the money. So we did 2 years worth of work in 19 hours. And that was the AI working for 19 hours, not us. From a human standpoint, it took 30 minutes. What I wanted to do was scrape all of the events that happen all over the world, conventions, right? I own conventions.com. I wanted to scrape all those, organize them, and put them on my site. But the problem is, all the different descriptions, the text formatting is different, descriptions are different, right? And that's the only part. You can't really copyright an event calendar, but you can copyright descriptions. I was afraid I'd get sued. There's a big company named, I won't say their name, but they have all this stuff aggregated and they probably pay a fortune to aggregate it. So we used a tool called Data Picker. So the first thing we did was use Cheat Layer. Cheat Layer has a monster scraper in it, by the way, just a monster scraper. So we used Cheat Layer to scrape the data. We did it two ways. We did it with Cheat Layer and we paid a guy on Fiverr to scrape it too. It was about the same data. The guy on Fiverr was $75, I think, to scrape 95,000 events, right? So we pull those into something called Data Picker that puts them into, why is it out of order? Did I skip one? think I put my little pretty graphic that shows you how it works. And yeah, I put my pretty graphic in the wrong place. So we pulled them in, we've opened up Airtable, pulled up Data Picker, pulled in all the data, and then had OpenAI rewrite all the descriptions in bulk. That's what took the 20 hours or 19 hours to do. And then we tie that to a tool called WhaleSync, and WhaleSync feeds data into Webflow. I know I'm going all over like craziness with you. Hold on one second. Sorry, let me try to explain this so you guys don't get lost. So once you have data, you can have Data Fetcher pull that data into Airtable and clean it up and make it fit the proper fields in Airtable. Once it's in Airtable, God dang. Once it's in Airtable, there's a little tool called WhaleSync that will grab that data and map it into Webflow. Now you could have mapped it into WordPress too. We just found Webflow is so much better now. Is anybody using Webflow? Yeah. So what I mean by mapping is you tell it on this page, and I want you to put this data here, and this data here, and this data here, and this data here, kind of like Zillow, right? Because if you look at a Zillow page, it's pulling maps from Google Maps, it's pulling API from Realtor.com, it's pulling school data from somewhere, it's pulling latitude, longitude, weather data from somewhere. So it's creating this very rich page for you to determine if you want to buy that house or not, right? But all those pages are created dynamically using something called mapping, which is really expensive to do typically, and plus you got to have a shitload of data to do it with, right? So we really get the data for 75 bucks, and then later found we could just get the data for free, right? We were able to pull it all in and clean it with Data Fetcher. Data Fetcher will show you if there's any errors anywhere, clean up duplicates, do all the stuff that takes people hours and hours and hours to do. We can even ask ChatGPT to check the fields to make sure they're all right, that we haven't made an error anywhere else. And then when you create the maps for the Webflow property, WhaleSync starts feeding the data to Webflow. And literally it only takes a few minutes. And if you look at Webflow, by the way, one of the reasons I love it, is that 1,500? Yeah, they've got over 1,500 templates pre-built in here that are just stunningly beautiful. There's no sense to ever design a website. Pick one of their templates. And all their templates are mappable. So anything on any Webflow template, you can map back to WhaleSync and by its nature back to Airtable. So the result was 95,313 perfectly schemed SEO pages in 20 hours. The largest website in the world about the subject of conventions. It's still in staging right now. We're going to launch it out in the next few days. But it's going to completely change that business for me. And I have almost no money invested in it. This is the kind of crazy big shit that you should be thinking about. Really big shit. Okay? And then lastly, TEO, tech-enabled outsource. This is pretty simple. We just started giving all these tools to all of our outsourcers. We're training them on the tools. There's massive resistance. They're terrified of it. I really need to go over there soon. They're terrified that it's going to replace their jobs. And we've tried to tell them it's not, but it's hard. And you may lose some team members. But the problem is, they're probably going to go to a company that's going to ask them to do the same thing. Because the smart money is on AI. The smart money is on robotics. McDonald's will be able to make a hamburger for 70% less in a robotic McDonald's. And whether they pass that value on to you or not, it's up to them. I doubt it, by the way. But you know, Big Mac's $10 fucking now. Got Big Mac meals $10. Yeah, ask a fat guy. So just use these tools and train them to become super employees. So we were running a 2-to-1 customer ratio. 2 customers, 1 worker. We're tracking now to an 8-to-1 customer ratio. That's known as margin, right? A lot more money. And the great thing is, I love UiPath, the robotics tool, has a motto they use. They say, we build robots so your people don't have to act like robots. So it's a great way to sell it, right? By the way, but really, you want to let them know. I want you to be a QA person. I want you to be an inspirational person that prompts the thing. I want you to be the brains, the human touch, the last pass that goes through this. I want you to be on the front of the process, prompting. I want you to be the end of the process, making sure the outcome's good. The in-between stuff that you probably hate doing anyway, it sucks. Let's let machines do that. Let's let robots do that. Real world use cases, just real quick, reducing labor, obviously, and stress. Customer service documentation and training, it's great for that. You can take your whole support database, feed it in and create answers for every possible question. There are better answers. It'll learn from your support database. Establishing authority. If you really do want to be the King Kong of an industry, you can go out and publish a buddy of mine, Reed, wrote the other day, he used an AI tool I didn't talk about here, but used an AI tool to write 65 6,000-word articles in one day. 65, and they were damn good. They were really damn good. So that property is going to become much more authoritative. Done-for-you services like I do, if you go buy one of my done-for-you services at ScaleWind, most of the work's being done by AI. It's being done by an AI trained, being done by AI. Tech integration for others. I think this is a huge opportunity for people. For the next 4 or 5 years, there's going to be a giant boom in going into businesses and integrating this technology. It's going to be a multi-billion-dollar, maybe $1 trillion industry, because everyone's going to have to adopt it, just like everyone had to have a website. But this is going to be faster. And the big things are really, build big things. If you guys are copywriters, my advice to all copywriters is stop writing copy. Sell your own shit, man, right? This makes it super, super, super easy. I go back to archive.org all the time and look up anything that ends in secrets, because I know that's some bullshit. That's how you find old clickbait products that are gone now. You pull some killer copy from. The other thing that I've done recently is start to scan and digitize pieces of direct mail copy from the 80s, 90s. So some monster stuff in there. Magalogs written by Clayton Makepeace and all the great inspirational pieces, right? You can do really big stuff, sell your own stuff. This is the future, guys. It changes everything. But the good news is for you, this is the first pitch, the first game, first inning, the first game of a very long series. If you want to know what's coming next, I love this future tools that Alex talked about earlier. I love future tools. I also follow this one. It's called SaaS AI Tools by the same guy that does the prompts. Keeps up with all the SaaS AI tools that come out every day. But don't bury yourself too far down that rabbit hole, because you lose your freaking mind. Go there when you actually have a problem you're ready to solve, right? Don't just go, I'm going to buy these 9 tools today because they're cool, like you do on Product Hunt or like you do on AppSumo, you AppSumo junkies, you. The big gorilla out there that everybody's waiting on right now is Google. So if you like ChatGPT and OpenAI, know this. It hasn't been updated since December of 2021. It's working on really old data. So Google's AIs that are coming out will be working in real-time data. And Google knows shit about you that nobody knows. No one will ever be able to be as predictive of your behavior or mass behavior as Google will be. Not Facebook. Facebook's going to know what stops you in your tracks, kind of. But Google's going to know what kind of porn you search for at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're going to know what kind of perv you are, right? One of my favorite questions to ask somebody is, when you watch porn, what kind of porn do you watch? If they say, I don't watch porn, I don't want to know that person anymore. But if they tell you an honest answer, you learn a lot about a person pretty quick. All right, cool. These are just some of the language models that are in existence today, and you'll notice most of them, a lot of them are bigger than OpenAI or GPT-3, but they're being held by big corporations, smart people. They're going to crush little people. And they're going to crush the little people who are not using AI or robotics at all first. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, you better get in now. The last thing I'll talk about is ever so briefly, you're going to hear more news about this, is quantum computing. One of the challenges right now with the AI language models is the computing power to run them is massive. But the first quantum computers are online right now. And as they come online, the people who control them are going to have massive power. Guess who has the biggest one in the world? Anybody want to guess? Elon fucking Musk. Isn't that crazy? Quantum computing uses something called qubits. So normal computing is ones and zeros. You either got to be in a 1 or a 0. A qubit can be in a 1 and a 0 at the same time, running a parallel reality. So it computes at millions of times faster than traditional computing. So very soon, we're going to be plugging into somebody's big monster quantum computing unit, and your computer is just going to be a wire and a screen. And all the computing is going to be done somewhere else because you can't compete, right? But when that happens, all this stuff's going to get bigger and bolder and smarter. Anybody got the shit scared out of them yet? Cool, you should be. You should be so, I wrote in a sales letter I wrote the other day, you should be so scared you can't shove a toothpick up your ass with a sledgehammer. So you really need to get into this stuff quick, fast, and in a hurry. Thank you guys for being here. By the way, I have a thing called, I asked Stefan if this is okay. I've got an event April 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Las Vegas called the AI Bot Summit, where we're unpacking this over 3 days. If you guys want to come, love to have you. That link goes to a page with a 75% off discount if you guys want to come. Love to have you. Thank you so much. And if you want to do questions or whatever, that's cool. Thank you so much. Oh, that's nice. How kind. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, shit, that was a lot.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, man.
We good?
Yeah, that's great.
All right, cool.
Thank
You want to do questions? You want to go?
You guys got questions for Perry? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Yeah,
They got it all.
They
got it all.
They got it all?
I think they got it all.
I'll just have a couple questions.
Yeah, just real quick, Perry, what was the name of that tool that you said that you could use AI to create personalized videos?
It's called TAVUS. T-A-V-U-S.
TAVUS.
T-A-V-U-S. TAVUS. I think is the way you spell it, pretty sure.
Sweet.
It's pretty
James?
ninja. I've gotten prospected by a couple people using it. It's like, you're like, hey, Perry, how things in Vegas? I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. Pretty cool stuff, though. It gets your attention.
Perry, when you were talking about the SEO optimized stuff, have you tried content at scale, and what are your thoughts about the stuff that they're generating versus the two that you talked about?
I haven't tried them. I know that I haven't tried them, so I don't know. I've heard really good reviews, but I haven't tried them. They're done for you, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. 15, 20 bucks an hour. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard it's pretty good stuff. I don't know. All I would be third party.
The founder of Content at Scale was Justin. Are you in here still? Where are you? Justin, who's been here, like he's actually in town. So if you guys want to talk to him, he's here.
They evidently do a really good job.
Sorry guys.
Glad I didn't
cut anybody off. I'm over here in the corner. School.
Oh, hey.
Hey. Listen, man. I hadn't even been able to take it all in yet. It was from a fire hose. It was awesome. Probably best presentation I think I may have seen. Period. So anyway, enough ass kissing. So
Please more.
Yeah, no.
More.
After that, and I'll continue. Your buddy who used the tool to create when you were talking about establishing authority, didn't mention that too. What was that site or that tool that he used to create a crap ton of articles or something like that?
I'll look it up while I'm thinking about it real quick. It's ZimWriter. ZimWriter.com. ZimWriter. One of the things that's really good for, is anybody using Google Performance Max yet? No, not many. So most of you direct response guys don't know how to use Google Performance Max. For the people who know how to use it, it's crushing. I say most of you. I'm a direct guy too, right? But my business partner is a guy named Qasim Islam. If you don't know Qasim, he's stupid and ugly. He's really nice. One of the smartest cats I ever met in my life. He's right here in Phoenix. You should get him to come over to some of your stuff and talk. Have you had him before?
I have not, but I keep hearing good things about him.
He
so I
is
need to.
nosebleed smart, but his specialty is Google Performance Max. So what Google's doing, they're basically trying to put all the media buyers out of business. So, but in order for Google Performance Max to work for you, you need to have a body of content that's at all levels. And Google takes the searcher and serves them your content based on the point that searcher is at in their journey. So if you don't have a lot of content around your money page, it doesn't work. You can't tell it what landing page to send to. It sends to wherever it wants to go. So you've got to be able to move your content. You've got to be able to move them from content pages onto your money page. There's a guy named Chris Von Wilpert who's brilliant at that. He has a company called, go buy his $49 thing. It's amazing. He explains the whole concept. And the rest of his stuff's good, but his little $49 thing is amazing. It's called Content Mavericks. And he does this by writing it all long form. But if you go get Content Mavericks and watch Chris's stuff, he is absolutely brilliant. But if you tie AI to that and create, not a lot, maybe 20 really authoritative articles around your money page on a subject. So let's say you're into, maybe you're teaching cryptocurrency investing, let's just say, and that's your page. So you might create 20 articles around crypto. One of them might be, what is cryptocurrency? Well, Google knows that's somebody who started searching about cryptocurrency 10 minutes ago, right? If you're asking for a comparison between Dogecoin and Asscoin, I don't know anything about that stuff, but these versus articles, right, that are big, long, they're all got to be big, long, like 6,000 word articles. That's one of the big things, big authoritative articles. It knows that that's a person further along in the journey. If it's somebody looking at how to divest of, the quickest ways to divest of cryptocurrency, well, I know somebody very long in the journey, right? So it's going to deliver that viewer to the best possible answer, which serves Google's purpose way better than slamming them to a sales letter, right? So they're going to basically do away with search going to a sales letter unless that search has purchase intent. So if Google's going to be fine with somebody looking at which taco mold should I buy, it's going to serve you taco mold ads. They're fine with that. But it's not going to serve a sales letter up, the taco mold ad for a guy looking at how do you make shrimp tacos. It's going to serve them content, right? So it serves their purpose. But in order to take advantage of it, you really have to have surrounding content, authoritative content. But once you have it, smokes. The other thing that's really cool about it, when you buy Google Performance Max, it's sending tons of traffic to your content, so your content starts to organically rank. And it gives you this sense of authority. Put all that in perspective. Cosm's getting personal injury attorney leads out of Los Angeles for $3. Hello? Anybody ever tried that? Yeah, it's crazy. It's not all of them are $3, but they get them as low as $3. Nutty cost per lead.
That's amazing. Do you have any other questions for Perry before I? All right, Perry, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Appreciate stepping through there. Take care.